Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Because currently I cannot see myself. I don't know if I can actually, if everything's actually okay. Might as well go to my YouTube and see that everything's going smoothly, but I'm not sure. Say hi if you guys can see me, you can hear me. Actually, okay. There it is. Okay. So I can't actually see myself, and I don't know if Alec is here either. Might as well go to my YouTube and see that. So strange. And I don't know if. Well, I'm looking at everyone here, and already I can see that people are joining and saying hi. Strange. And I absolutely love that. Let me know where you are coming from. I know that it's a joint video between Alec and I, and just waiting to see if it will figure itself out. Because it's so strange that I can't actually see myself on the phone screen. I don't know if you guys can see this, but basically the phone screen is it's not really working. So what I might do is I'm just going to see this. Turn up the volume. It's not really working. This is so strange. So let me know if you guys can see and hear me properly, because I cannot as of now. Just so weird. And I just might have to leave the chat and then come back to it. And hopefully everything will be okay. But I can already see some familiar people here. Some people will say that we love Israel. Blessings from Kentucky, from Ireland, from Michigan, from Denmark, Virginia. I love that. Let me just see. So you guys say that you can hear me and the audio and video is fine. Now I can see myself. Wonderful. I'm back. So I don't entirely know where Alec is. I'm assuming that we're just going to wait for him for a second. And yeah, we're just going to see where he is. Perfect. I love this. Keep on telling me, all 26 people of you guys here, where you're from. From Algeria. That is so cool. So guys, let me tell you a little bit about Alec Pollard and or Insightful Nomad and how we met. So basically, I think we have an overlap between his subscribers and my subscribers, and people kept talking to each other, us, about each other. And basically they were like, you guys should collaborate together. So he reached out to me and we collaborated together, which is so cool. And he was actually my first collaboration like a year and something ago. And he basically, we walked around the old city and he interviewed me about Messianic Judaism and what it is. And I basically asked him about his travels as a YouTuber. And it was just such a cool sort of first collaboration, because as a Messianic Jew, I was like, I don't know who's going to accept me. And he was just very accepting and very curious, and he's a very like curious individual that likes to explore and understand things, and he's very, very smart. So if you're from my channel and you do not yet follow Alec Pollard, I advise you guys to go and do that, because he's just amazing. So go to Insightful Nomad on Instagram. He's mainly on on YouTube. He's mainly on YouTube, and yeah, he's just a wonderful person in general, and does creates amazing, amazing content. Let me just put you guys here for 1 second, and let me see where Alec actually is. So right now he's in the country, and I don't know entirely where where he's getting his Wi-Fi from or not getting it from. He said that he could be like he had something that could like go a bit late. So we're just gonna talk in the meantime until Alec appears, until he arrives. Let's talk about Alec. Have you guys been watching his YouTube channel? If you do, then say in the comments below so that we can talk about all of his content. He's amazing. He doesn't. So if you guys actually look at his content, he basically has traveled. He's a travel vlogger, and he travels to all these different countries that, like, some of them are, dangerous and not so like Israel friendly. That are like Muslim countries, and he talks about all of his experiences, and he talks about his experience in his new book, and it's called Visiting the Enemy. And while we're at it, let me actually, guys, I haven't been able to find a way to put in the chat links. I don't know why. On like a live, on like a YouTube live on my phone. And I really am not entirely sure why that is. But we are going to, I am going to put it through my computer. I don't know if I can actually pin it to the top, but you guys will be able to click on the link. So we're going to do that at least. Guys, the amount of investment it takes to actually write a book about all of your experiences is amazing. So I just put a link that, oh, that's cool. Okay, so I can actually pin it. So I'm pinning this link to the top and just making sure that you guys can see it. It's an Amazon link to his book. And he talks about all of his experiences. I think he goes to Egypt. Um, let's see. I haven't watched all of his all of the places that he's gone to. Insightful Nomad. Guys, when I first like met him, I think he had about like 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, and now he's at like 86,000, which tells you that the growth that he went through is absolutely just amazing. And he's really just a cool guy. So not only does he travel to all these different places, but he's also like an actual reporter, and he does lives and commentaries and basically explains what is happening in Israel, um, all of the Middle East, and uh-oh. I think we might have had a miscommunication about the time of our live. So give me 1 second. So we're having a little bit of a miscommunication. So all 35 of you guys, thank you guys so much for being patient. I think that he's in a different time zone. So we're just going to continue to talk for like 20 minutes until he shows up. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so Alec is going to appear in like 20 minutes. He's in a different time zone, and I think we were trying to figure it out, and I think that we got the hour wrong between us, and that's okay. So we're just going to wait for him for 20 minutes, and we're just going to do our thing and talk. So guys, let me know how you are. I'm assuming now that everyone that is live here are from my YouTube. And so his subscribers aren't on the channel yet, unless they're just watching it, I guess, through me. But let me know where you found either Insightful Nomad, Alec Pollard from, um, or how you found me. Let's see. 1 second, I can see that he's sent me a message. This is literally him being like, I'm sorry. So funny. So, guys, this is like the actual real world that stuff like this happens. But we're just going to talk in the meantime. I know that this is not a very typical hour for my subscribers to be on, but I think he is in Thailand right now. And so I think it's like much later for him. I think he's a few hours ahead of me, and it's 6 p.m. here. And so we're just going to chill in the meantime until he appears, which is great. Yeah, so let me know again where you guys are talking from, and love to hear your opinions. So, okay, show of hands for all 30 of you guys here. Who here follows Insightful Nomad? I want to see it in the comments. And he has this like really, yeah, he's doing great on YouTube, which is amazing. And he's really smart. Like when you look at the type of content that he has, I want to bring you guys through it. He really brings you into all of the most insightful things that can be on a channel like this. And he gives, commentary and goes through the, viral videos. And he is really smart. Like, it's not like me just like talking about something. Like, he really does like go through all of the most like crazy topics. And really, he knows exactly like what's going on in the Middle East. He's an actual reporter and a YouTuber, and so you can see not only does he have commentary, but if you go to his playlist, you can see all these different types of subjects. And so literally these are the places that he's been like going to. So like, okay, Colombia, Egypt, Venezuela, Peru, Armenia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Indonesia, Azerbaijan, like a lot of these places, they're like Muslim dominated places, Morocco, Bahrain, Ethiopia, Kenya. He goes to Egypt and Uganda, Rwanda. Like, there's so much here that you can glean from his channel, and he's just also just a really good guy. And so that's Insightful Nomad for you. All right, so I'm seeing some of the comments. Someone here is watching from Barbados. That's amazing. Um, Bossman says, I've seen the one he went to Egypt and the guy kicked him off his ride because he told him he was from Israel. Yes, guys. Okay, so go to Insightful Nomad's YouTube and then write like Egypt, or like it's one of the ones that'll come up on the playlist. And he's literally like on a motorcycle ride with, this guy in Egypt. And the moment that he says he's from Israel, he's like, no, 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 no. Like he just literally just like gets off of he kicks him off of his motorcycle ride. And that's like a tame response. And this I think was like before the 7th of October war. I've seen on the news like this guy, an Israeli traveling through these countries like after the of after October 7th, and it is not friendly. Like you have to be really careful about where you go. And some people are just brave like that, like Alec is extremely brave like that. And he just travels the world and continues to show people what the truth is. And I don't know if our approaches are a little bit different about how peace is done or all those things, but when he comes up in a few minutes, you guys can ask him all of your questions. So let's see here. It is 6 p.m. He is in Thailand. And so he's in a different time zone, hence the little miscommunication that we had about time. But here we are. Miss Jasmina, hi. I'm so happy that you're here. You said, I found you through a video where you talked about your dream with Yeshua. That's very cool. I'm so happy that you're here. Garance, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. You said, I enjoy his videos. Yeah, guys. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me introduce you to Insightful Nomad. Really has great, great, great content. I'm going to put another link here and pin that for you guys. And literally just go subscribe, explore everything that he has there on the channel. He's really an amazing guy. I'm happy to hear that someone here follows both of us. That is so cool. We do have an overlap of subscribers, which is such a privilege for me. We have someone here from Wales in the UK. Amazing. Happy that you're here, Paul. Ram says that he's a good reporter. He definitely is. Definitely is. Someone said they can be very rude. You know what? I've never been to Egypt. I know that there's different cultures that are not quote unquote Western friendly. So I think Westerners would not really get along in places like that, or they wouldn't really know how to do what to do with sort of like different behaviors, and they probably wouldn't know entirely how to push back if someone was being rude. So someone asks, how is my cat Buttercup or Bunny? He is fine. It is very hot here, guys. I'm assuming it's hot in different places right now in the world, that there's like a heat wave, which is, crazy. Um, so yeah, it's actually very hot here. Hey Google, what's the weather like in Jerusalem? Let's see.
Currently in Jerusalem, it's 27 degrees and sunny.
Actually, it's
Tonight, the forecast is for a high of 26 and a low of 18 and clear.
okay. It's not super like it's hot-ish right now. It's like a 26, but it was more hot, I think, in previous hours. But it's not cold here for sure. Happy that Tiff is here. You say you haven't caught me in a while. I'm so happy. Um, Let me just put some people in time out because they don't deserve to be here on this quality content. So goodbye. Bossman, I'm so happy that you watch all the videos. That's amazing. John Boyd, I have been in the sun. I spent a whole day filming with Levy. If you guys know Levy, go to Discover Israel Tour with Levy on Instagram, and you can see a lot of the content that he and I created for that day. And so, yes, I've been in the sun and I love it. And Insightful Nomad, Alec Pollard will be with us shortly. Just had a little mishap with the communication about the time. Someone here asked, if you had one wish, what would you change politically or geopolitically in today's world, and what policy would you make or change? That's amazing. Let's take that question. Stay on the live. We're going to wait for Alec to come, and I think that that's a really great question for him. And I think that that'll be, I think that that'll be great. So, guys, when we get on the chat, Alec is going to talk about his book, about his travels. I'm going to ask questions, but mainly we want to hear questions from you guys, and I want you guys to go and look at his new book. I'm going to, in a second, pin that one again, so you guys can actually glean and learn from his insight about all these different places that he's been in the Middle East. It is so rare for a person, a Jewish Israeli, to go to all these different places and actually tour them for himself and not just talk about it. He actually knows what he's talking about. So yeah, guys, think about all of the questions that you want to ask Alec Pollard. Someone is asking, how hot does it actually get in Israel? It gets hot. It gets hot here. We're just in June, and so the heat is, coming along. August is extremely hot, and it gets very hot here. Also in Eilat, there's a huge difference between their weather and ours in the sense of it's very like how do you say, like humid weather. It's like sort of like dry and humid at the same time. I don't know how to explain it, but it is extremely humid. Like you will take a shower and then step out of the shower and you're just drenched again because that's just how it is there. So it can get very hot down south and also just the rest of the country. Um, a lot, like I think 70% of Israel or something like that is desert. So it can get very hot here. Someone asks, how do you avoid sunburn or if a person has skin cancer from sun? So you just have to be careful. People will, you know, avoid walking too much when it's, the too hot outside, or when I hike or things like that, I actually put long sleeves and I wear a hat. So a lot of people wear hats. But I don't know, we're just sort of like used to it. We're used to it. I get burnt easily, but there are a lot of Jews that are dark, meaning Mizrahi Jews, that do not have my pale skin color, and so they do not get burnt like me. So you just have to sort of be careful. Um, who's this person being a troll? So guys, think about the all 52 of you guys here. Think about all of the questions that you want to ask Alec. When we went to the old city, it was actually a really cool experience because I had never collaborated with anyone on YouTube before, and he's just sort of reached out and said like, "Hi, we have an overlap of subscribers between you and I. Let's do this thing." And it was really cool to ask him, questions about his experience of traveling in these places. I would absolutely love to go to all these countries that he has gone to. I think it's a bit more difficult to travel alone as a woman, a Jewish woman. And so let's put this person in timeout because this person doesn't need to be here. Um, but yes, I would absolutely love to go to all these places. I would love to go to Egypt and see all of the um, all not just the pyramids, but all the temples and all the ancient remnants that have stayed mainly intact. I just think that it's amazing. And so I'd love to go there. I've actually been in Jordan, in Wadi Ram, and it's the same place where they filmed The Martian. So The Martian is a movie with Matt Damon. Matt Damon. And it literally looks like you see in the movie, just less yellow. And we went basically on a program called Musalaha. Musalaha in Arabic is like sulha, which is like reconciliation. And they would take Christian believers, Christian Arab believers from Israel, and Messianic Jews and Christians from abroad, like either Norway or the States or stuff like that. And we would meet in a neutral place. And then we would meet in Jordan, and we would basically have conversations and learn from each other and reconcile and make friendships so that the other side didn't like seem, didn't seem so much like an enemy to us, because it's so easy to like hate the other side and not understand the other side. But when you actually have eye to eye contact with that person, when you do things together, when you eat together, you fellowship together, you hang out together, suddenly you have conversations with the other side, and you learn that the other side is not so intimidating, the other side is not so scary. And there's a place there in which you can actually reconcile, where you can seek forgiveness, where you can forgive in your heart. It's very, very difficult as these two people groups to be able um, to have conversations in an environment that is so explosive. So to have those conversations in Israel when one has been coming across borders and checkpoints, and the other one, also I have to go through borders and checkpoints as well. No one should think it's just for them, because we're trying to keep our spaces safe from terrorism. But no one should think that those places are easy to get to and to talk about these things in the same environment in which those things happen. So they would remove us from our environment and would basically just help us to get to the place where we had healthy conversations. And you don't necessarily come out at peace with everything, but you do have an actual conversation with people, quote unquote, from the other side, so that you're not from the other side, but now you're actually um, followers of Yeshua together. So that was a really cool experience. I would love to go back to Jordan. I'd love to go back to all these different places, but I can't. Someone says, where do you think the situation in Lebanon is going? Something positive, and do you think that somehow Yeshua is going to intervene at some point? You know what? That's a really good question. I feel that we should keep this question for Insightful Nomad. So, Alec and I are not from the same faith. You can ask him if you want about his faith, but he is not a follower of Yeshua. But you can ask him what he thinks about the situation in Lebanon. And so, stick around. He should be here in a second, and we should be able to talk about, the situation in Lebanon, all the countries that he has gone through. You can look at his book and all the insights that he has there. You can go to his YouTube and look at that as well. As far as the faith aspect of that question, I would say I think that Yeshua is intervening all the time. That's what I think. I think that there is um, there is what we see and what we don't see. And I think that people take action for better and for peace all the time. But when you have a counterfeit to good, or you have, evil literally trying to destroy the people of Israel, the state of Israel, for me, I think it takes divine intervention um, on behalf of God to even be able to comprehend any kind of miraculous overturn or victory. And I see our soldiers, and they fight all the time, and we're losing a lot of soldiers because of these drones that are being sent, and it's just really heartbreaking. You'll wake up and you'll see another soldier has fallen in Lebanon, and some people sort of feel like they don't even know what they're doing there anymore. Like, do we want to still fight this war if, Trump is going to come in and try and make some kind of agreement? What what is our part in this agreement, if at all? And so it's very, very tricky. It's very tricky. So think about all these questions and um, keep on thinking about things that you want to ask. Um, Let me ask you guys a question. Have you guys been to any Muslim dominated country? So places like Egypt, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Malaysia, Iran, places like that. Just looking at all of your comments. So far, I have only been to Jordan, and it was a great experience. We went basically all in like Vadiram, with that group called Musalaha, and we basically stayed in like Bedouin tents, and everything smelled like, the blankets were like, because at night it gets really actually cold there. At night, you have your Bedouin like little tents, and everything smelled like camel fur. And it was a really beautiful night that you could see the moon literally rise over the mountain. It was a full moon, and we all just sort of like sat on the mountain, and it was a really cool night that basically there were a lot of shooting stars, like a lot of meteor falls that night. And we basically just like laid there with like on this mountain, all of us with our like camel scented blankets, and just watched the moon rise over Jordan, and watched this like these shooting stars just like every once in a while just like go over the pitch black night sky. And it was absolutely spectacular. And it was just very, very, very cool. And one thing that they taught us there, because it's so, so, so quiet in the desert, it's like really dead quiet. And they basically did what we call as like Messianic Jews or people of faith in Yeshua and Jesus, what's called quiet time, which basically just means that you go to a quiet place with God so that you can connect with Him. And I'm telling you guys, it was like you can hear your own thoughts so clearly because, sorry, because it is just so, so, so quiet there. It is so quiet. And so, yeah, we had such an amazing and special experience there. They make all the food in such a cool way. So like they'll take like lamb and they'll or like goat. I think it was lamb. I think we had lamb, and they basically like take the meat and then they put this whole spread of like rice and vegetables, and they put the lamb on top, and they make a pit in the ground in the sand, and on the bottom there's like charcoal, like coal, and they'll light that up so that it heats up, and then they'll put everything on the inside, cover it so that there's no sand that goes inside. They'll cover it with sand and coal, and then they'll lift the whole thing up, take the food out, and then basically you have this like super like soft come off the bone meat, and with a whole bunch of like rice and like carrots and all these things. It was just like one of the yummiest things that you'll have like in the desert. It was so much fun. There were no showers there, and so basically the way that you showered was like with wipies and like things like that. And so you just had to be okay with being like a bit gross and grimy and your hair just being sort of like a bit, gross. And there's so much wind also that all the sand just like gets into your hair and all the stuff. And so that was just sort of like how you lived for a bit. And so it was a really, really cool experience. Let me just look at your comments for a second. John says Michigan is enough Muslims for me. Yes, the state of Michigan is not good right now. There's definitely a Muslim overtake of Michigan, and Michigan will not be the same. Michigan will not be the same. Oh, okay, so someone says here that they've been to Saudi, Yemen, Lebanon, the UAE, Bahrain, and Jordan. That is so, so, so cool. Someone says here, I'd like to hear about Lebanon, what experience he has with it. So keep that question. So to all 63 people, Alec, Insightful Nomad, and I had a little bit of a mishap of what time he's coming, so he'll be here literally in like a second or two. Um, so get prepared for a really cool conversation. All of the questions that you guys have when we're talking about it now, thinking about it, we're going to talk about his book, and we're going to be able to listen to all of his really cool insight. The book is called Visiting the Enemy: An Israeli Vlogger's Journey Across the Arab and Muslim World. Fascinating. I myself can't wait to hear about it. So he's on his way home, is going to get on the phone and basically prepare to answer all of your questions. So someone says here, when will I publicize my book? Okay, guys. So I think Insightful Nomad, Alec Pollard, has a little bit more of an umph and a grit to him than I do when it comes to writing and actually publishing a book. And so right now, my book is sort of, I don't quite have an ending and I don't quite have inspiration. But my book is basically about the woman caught in adultery in the book of John in the New Testament. It's basically about that one small paragraph that we hear from her life story, that she's caught in adultery, and then the Pharisees, they take her to Yeshua to basically convict her and condemn her. And Yeshua basically saves her from that experience because they are there to judge her. And he decides that they're just as sinful, and why are they condemning her if they can be condemned too? And so I started writing it literally years ago and just didn't have the inspiration to continue with it. So I put it on the shelf. Here we are. Here is Alec Pollard. Yay. So I've just added him. I think it might take a second for him to pop up. Yes, here we are.
So my orientation is long, right? 1 second. I need to flip this. I cannot do anything in this world without having technical problems. It's just not in my ability.
It is
So
okay.
now wait a second. Oh, I have a stand here and I have to like move the thing of the stand, right? So that it can on sideways, and then I can get the orientation to be vertical, right? Oh, here it is. I might actually solve this. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? You're capable enough to have a YouTube channel that has, as of this moment, 86,000 people, which is crazy, which is insane. So you're doing something right.
Yeah, I can travel in dangerous places on my own, create insane content, but I can't like connect for a live stream. And it always happens to me as well. Like always, like I screw up on like the most basic things. It's crazy. I
Well,
think
you're
that's
still
okay, right?
doing
What do you think?
something right. You're still doing something right. So,
Can you hear
guys,
me properly?
yes,
I
we
think
can
I'm
hear
connected to
you.
my earphones as well. Oh, you can hear me well? Okay. Hello, everyone.
Yay, he is here, the one and only Alec Pollard. Yay!
How's it going, L'Oreal? Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that we can join forces. I've been talking about you a lot for like 30 minutes and
Really?
telling guys about your adventures and about your book that I haven't read yet, but you're going to tell us all about it.
Right.
So, Alec, how are you, first of all? Where are you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you haven't read the book, that means I'm going to be giving you some spoilers. No, but it's okay because the point is to tease a little bit and get you all, everyone there, a little bit interested in what's going on. And I know for a fact, wait, I'm going to move that a little. I know for a fact that our audiences, we have some quite a bit of overlap. So that's cool. But yeah, where am I? Basically, I took up an offer by a friend. It was like 2 months ago to go to Thailand for a while to escape. To escape. Not that I'm ever escaping, right? I'll always come back to the Holy Land. But sometimes you need a rest from the whole craziness after the Iran war and all that.
Yeah.
So that's also why I messed up a bit our times. I got it wrong for some reason. I thought it was
It's okay.
an hour later. So yeah, yeah.
It's okay.
So yeah, here I am in Chiang Mai, northern Thailand, and actually ended up publishing the book when I wasn't in Israel, of all things. After I had delayed it, I basically finished writing it. The main part, most of it, basically finished writing in like December, so half a year ago. Finished
Amazing.
writing. Yeah, yeah. And then I was working on the cover. I had a cover design. Didn't wasn't happy with it. Like the feedback was not great. So I went, I redesigned it. And yeah, that's basically sort of what happened. I started getting in because a book is judged by its cover, which is true also of people and of like anything you do in life. And this is an actual book. So yeah, book is judged by its cover, and I really wanted to make sure I got something that I was happy with, which I think I did in the end. Then some formatting issues and some where to publish and how to publish and those kind of questions, which I sorted out in the end. And here we are. Here's the result, guys. Take a look. Uh,
Wow. In the
oh wait,
flesh.
I'm in the it's wrong
The
way, right?
mirror
Because I'm in
mode.
mirror version. Yeah, what can you do? All right. Well, that's so I don't know if to show you guys or not, but think of this. Put this in front of a mirror, and that's the book. And um, what's in the book? Or I don't know. Maybe we could talk about something else first. Like, oh yeah, I don't even know what's going on with you. Tell me a bit about
Ah, so
your
wait one
latest
second. So
adventure.
I'm basically pinning in the chat a link to Alex's book on Amazon, so you can find it there. And I've been pinning also periodically your YouTube in case people don't know you. So let's start a little bit from the beginning. How did you start your YouTube channel? And was it for the sake of, was it just a travel vlog, or because you do have, you are also a reporter, so you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of like actual insight about the places that you're going. Did you start your YouTube channel for the sake of seeing the Muslim Arab world? Was it in general? And how did the idea for this book come across?
Right. So I would say the answer is no. That's not why I started it. I actually kind of started it to get away from that, for the opposite. So I was working in TV news for I-24 News. Maybe some of you know. Almost 6 years. Almost 6 years. I was a producer. I was a correspondent in the field. I was an anchor, and I covered a lot of stuff, conflicts, political issues. I covered 5 Israeli elections, all this talk about Iran this, Iran that. I covered it, and I was a bit tired of the whole thing, and I wanted to do something different. And when I was looking at YouTube, sometimes I would see some of these vlogs, and I really thought to myself, wow, some of these vlogs are really bad, and they get a million views. How is that possible? I could do so much better than that. I thought, at least. And we're both YouTubers. You know that YouTube doesn't even work like that. bad content can go viral, good content can get buried.
It's
So
true.
much of it is about titles, thumbnails, algorithms. There's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, ignorance is a bliss, and I was like, all right, I'm quitting. I mean, I wanted to quit anyway, and I was thinking of just going sideways to another channel or something like that. But in the end, I said, okay, I'm gonna, I'll try it out. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to the drawing board. Bought myself a GoPro camera, some equipment, and was like, okay, I'm gonna go and do the vlogs. And like I said, the idea was not to do conflicty Muslim world stuff. The idea was to not do that. But what happened very interestingly is while I was thinking where I'm going to travel, how I'm going to travel, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, told me this weekend, and this was just when my equipment had sort of arrived. I got it from the US or what, I don't remember exactly, but I just kind of assembled the equipment, which was a GoPro, a mic, which I didn't even use 90% of the time, and a new laptop, whatever. Got some of my equipment, learned how to use it, and my friend told me, I'm going next week down to Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, right? Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, which I've been to many times. And I assume you've been,
I haven't. I
but
really want to go though.
yeah.
You'll tell me if it's
So
possible and if it's safe enough now.
I still think it's okay even now because, and part of the reason is because Sinai is not Egypt, and it's a different thing. First of all, the population is different. They're Bedouin Arabs who are not that connected to the state or even discriminated by the state. So the whole kind of anti-Israel thing that's going on in Egypt, it's not really in Sinai. And of course, they do business with Israelis. It's their livelihood. So it's a different thing. Israelis go down there all the time. They cross with a vehicle or cross by foot, take a ride to one of these resorts on the Red Sea and so forth. I've done it in the past, and I did it this time, and I said, okay, I'll go. So we went, um, and I filmed some cool stuff, the town, the this, some people, some snorkeling, whatever. You can see the vlogs, one of the first on my channel. And then when I was also filming, I was wondering how to address this Israeli angle, right? So I'm a travel vlogger. So should I say talk about that I'm from Israel and Egypt and start getting into that whole thing and what to do about that? Um, and basically, then when I traveled in that first video, I decided I'm going to park that aside. I'm not going to talk about it, and I'm just going to enjoy Sinai. I made kind of like a neutralish video, which was very short in the end because I was coming from TV where everything needs to sort of be edited. I didn't realize you can just walk around and talk, and that works. So yeah, that's fine. You can get a million views just ranting, whatever. So yeah, I made that video neutral, and but when I was there, I thought about it. And I said, that would actually be very interesting. The whole Israel, Egypt, and a lot more interesting than Sinai would be to actually go to Egypt, right? Sinai is kind of, as we say in Hebrew, palve, a palve. It's a kosher term, but just let's say not that big a deal. Like it's pretty touristic, whatever, basic beach stuff, shopping, market, some people, whatever. Like it's not that big a deal. And I was watching some of these YouTube channels where they did pretty extreme stuff and pretty groundbreaking stuff at the time. I remember actually one video that really impacted me in particular was a video called 5 Days in the Slums of Mumbai by a Lithuanian vlogger of all people, who had a pretty big channel at the time. I mean, he's since retired from YouTube, but it had like 6 million views, where he just lived in the worst slum of the worst city on earth, pretty much Mumbai, or the worst city, parts of it, the worst, for 5 days. And it was so cool because the things he did, like his where he was accommodation, there's no running water, showering with a bucket, and you have to pay to use the public toilet, and like all this stuff. And it's really rough, right? Really rough, but it really impressed me. I thought that vlog was very powerful, because he met great people and he made relationships, and it was kind of like a window into another world. And that really impacted me. I was like, wow, I think I could do something like that. Um, and yeah, that's kind of what got me into the idea of, I'm not doing touristic-y kind of yuppie Instagrammy content. I want to do deep content, right? Um, so that was kind of a bit of an inspiration. And then when I was in Egypt, I kind of thought that could sort of be my version of that. not exactly the same thing, but something kind of that would be gutsy and unique and rough and real. So yeah, I thought about it. My parents were of course like, "No, don't go. You can go anywhere in the world. Why would you go there?" But I checked. I did my research, and there's a group on Facebook called the Lovers of Egypt, where people. This is before October 7th, by the way, worth noting. I did my research and kind of reached the conclusion that it should be fine. And of course, I have the fallback of just kind of lying and saying I'm from the U.S., which I used, and I talk about that in the book about the problems of that and problems of hiding and presenting things when in the end you're hiding half the time and all that. That's a whole subject in itself, which we can get into. But I thought like, okay,
It's a
I
whole
could,
dilemma for Jews when you go
yeah,
abroad, with or without
yeah,
the war. It's always a dilemma. Like, because for me, like, there's a lot of people that can just get away with, like, who's going to know that you're a Jew? Because Jews looks like all types of things. But
yeah,
if you have a
yeah,
yarmulke, if, you have like me, a
yeah.
Star of David, do you really want to take it off? If someone asks you, where are you from? Are you really going to say Israel? It's a real dilemma in the heart of like everyone who goes abroad because you think, okay, I could be attacked. There could be antagonism against me. It's not an easy question to answer.
I totally agree. It's like it's a whole thing now, especially in this current climate of people feeling like they need to hide. um, and it's a dilemma. I say safety comes first. So if you feel like you're in a threatening situation, then by all means. But if you feel like it might be an uncomfortable situation, but not a threat, then never hide, right? Just always stand tall. But if your life depends on it, then that's a different story. And for sure, I would feel like the place I was going that yeah, need to I would need to keep a low profile quite a bit of the time. Um, so that was basically my plan. My plan was to try to address the Israeli angle when possible, while safety first, keeping and use common sense, and see and feel like maybe I'll get there and I'll feel perfectly safe, and I can do that. So yeah, I mean, so that was the first thing where I just decided to kind of make the video sort of Israeli visits Egypt. That would be the title instead of just another vlog from Egypt. And that video has over 1 million views, by the way. It's my most successful one. It's also the most important segment of my book, I would say, and the thing that kind of launched this whole thing. Um, and yeah, so I went to Egypt, and we'll get into that in a moment. But we were talking about kind of how this whole thing came about. Was I went to Egypt and I had very interesting experience, positive, pretty kind of positive, and in retrospect, not so positive, which is interesting when looking back. But like while I was there, I felt like it was pretty good. And and then when some of my other videos on other things didn't do so well, I decided to try to go back to that formula and visit more places like that. And it's kind of tapping into my journalistic background a bit, of kind of like it's kind of like a report, right, in a way. Um, so yeah, and then I just ended up doing a bunch of these countries. Most of them, the big ones are in the book, which is also Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Morocco. I was hesitant to put it in because I feel like Morocco is like, to call it like an enemy country might be. I mean, even though Egypt technically is not an enemy, where you have a peace agreement with them, but talk about countries that have big hostility. And Morocco, there's also a lot of non-hostility. So it has a segment, and I kind of explained that kind of interesting situation there. And there were also other places I've been. I mean, I was in other Muslim countries. I was in Azerbaijan, Albania, Malaysia, but I decided to focus on Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, and a bit of Morocco. So that's kind of the focus. Uh, and yeah, I mean that was some of the best, most impactful vlogging that I did, and I'm glad that it's in the book. Basically, like that's my memoir of
Yeah,
of
it
the
really
trip.
is like a memoir.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. And I did. I mean, on Amazon, when you have to choose categories for your book, my category was Jewish memoirs, travel memoirs.
yeah.
So that is the category indeed. So,
So tell us a little bit about, as an Israeli Jew, you travel to these places and you carry inside of you all of the Jewish history, all of your life experience, and also your experience as a reporter. How would you approach the trickiness that you would encounter when seeing the clash of the different cultures And how did you feel, literally, as a Jew, walking in that environment with all of that entailing? You know,
Um, Interesting question. I mean, look, first of all, when you spend a lot of time in a country that doesn't have any Jews or Israelis, and where you're not sure how that's going to be treated, and like I said, you're kind of like in this semi-hiding state, um, then you might even start to kind of enter into another persona almost.
mhm.
Um,
So did you
you
feel
know,
like
I was
hyper vigilant all the time, like just low key hyper
Yeah,
vigilant?
yeah. I mean, so what I'm saying, it kind of remind. I have a story basically. I was watching the new season of Fauda now. I don't know if you watched that show. Maybe some of you guys are watching this live
I
stream.
watched it
Like,
in the beginning and it was so intense. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this right now.
yeah, yeah. So a new season came out, and if you guys don't watch the show, I mean, it's a very successful show, but it's basically about Israeli, what's called mistarvim, which is people who are pretending to be Arabs, and that's how they enter into hostile areas, for example, in Palestinian territories, and so much in order to apprehend terrorists. And this is something that Israel actually does in real life. We have, I mean, it's actually not Mossad kind of, but more, let's say, Shin Bet and those kind of units that do that kind of thing. And you see very often in the series that they're in these very difficult situations where they just play the character so well. You know, it's like, my name is Amir Mahajna. I'm from the Palestinian security apparatus, and I grew up in the refugee camp of Balata and this, and they're questioning him, and he has all his details like he's playing this act, right? And in the show, that very often he's so into the act that at some point he starts to question what he is, um, and that's kind of the danger, I think, when if you kind of overdo this type of thing. So I don't know. I felt like, though, I could easily play the character where I'm just an American tourist, and I don't think I ever kind of lost sight of who I am and what I am in that environment. And because I was there and I kind of felt confident enough in my ability to stay safe that yeah, I mean, I was able to see some of their culture up close and some of the kind of vibe up close of being in it. And it's definitely something that I think, if you can do it, and not everyone can, and I don't necessarily recommend you to do it, but it's definitely something that's worthwhile, right? It's always interesting and good to be in those in the other place, whatever it be. It doesn't have to be a hostile country. Just to be any other culture. You always learn something about yourself, about them. So it's definitely like it's definitely a thing, right? Where you go into a mosque in the middle of Egypt and people come run in because they're coming from work and they're praying. It's like, well, I'm in here, right? This is um, so yeah. Wait a second, I have here a light that ran out of battery. So let's try to get that going as well, because now I'm in dark, even though it's okay as well. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I definitely think it was a fascinating thing to be in that experience. I enjoyed it. I felt that I'm able to kind of immerse myself to a certain extent, which would be easier if I was some French guy, right? Because I could just say whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think in that sense, it was very cool. It was very cool to be just walk around the streets of Cairo, like very, very, very cool. And I think you meet pretty nice people very often in a lot of places. Uh, some of those people, I even said I was from Israel, and I thought they were pretty great. And this is kind of in a very problematic setting, I would say. I had some bad experiences as well, but some good ones. And uh, I think some of those in some touristic areas, you don't know if that's because you're just a and they don't want to rock the boat or whatever. Maybe they want your money, but I'm very certain that some of those interactions were actually good and genuine, and I talk about them in the book. So yeah, I think in that sense, it's great. But if we're skipping ahead here a little bit, and we'll probably get to it later. Despite that ability to meet human beings and have good experiences with them, the overall sentiment remains extremely problematic. So I don't know if you want to get into that straight away, but I can kind of explain, because I talk about this also a bit in the book, but I can explain what I mean by that, or have we
Yeah,
skipped too
please
much? I
do.
don't.
You can go back and
So
forth.
yeah, so what I'm saying is that I think in the end of the day, in order to change a larger sentiment in a society, you need the freedom to discuss the subject and to bring up opposing views, right? And I think actually in Israel, that's something that we do not bad. There's the famous two Jews, three opinions line. And we're always arguing in this, and we need to do it like that, we need to do it like that. There's a lot of self-flagellation as well. We failed at this, we failed at that, we failed at this, we failed at that, which is good to a certain extent. We have in Israel, I think actually, because we have a robust discussion, the ability to kind of talk about the stuff, introspect to a certain extent, and people kind of come up in the end with what they think. So the discourse is on about a bunch of subjects, and that's one way you can change opinions. Of course, you have to back it up with convincing argument. And in the Arab world, that's not happening. You don't. So the point being that if I meet uh, the guy who took me on a night food tour, whose son studies Hebrew at Cairo University because he's interested in the culture, and then I talked to him on the phone, this is something that happened, right? Someone I met on the street in Cairo. Uh, and uh, and so he's obviously someone who wants to build bridges, and if he could visit, would like to visit and all that, but he's scared because then when he comes back, the mukhabarat, right, the intelligence will get him, the Egyptian intelligence, and suspect him of being a spy. Um, so there are some people who are like that, but you don't have the ability to openly discuss that kind of thing. It's already a minority view, and you can't even really bring it up safely and securely to talk about the possibility of having a different attitude there, or I would say even in many of the other countries. And that's kind of one of the conclusions I sort of reach in the book, is in the sense that because especially coming from the vlogging world, and maybe I'm zigzagging a bit here, but you see a lot of people that they go to, it's very popular as a vlogger to go to a tough, war-ridden Islamic country and see, look at these wonderful people, in Afghanistan, look at the Taliban, they're so nice, they invited me for coffee. They get very excited when they go to places that they hear in the news are bad and they meet nice people. Yeah, of course, you'll always meet nice people. And even if the people have terrible ideology, they may still be nice to you, right? They may still invite you for coffee and then go and talk about jihad and whatnot. I mean, that's a very real thing. So on the one hand, it's nice to show that anywhere you go, there's people will have hospitality, people will be nice to you, people will try to help you when you're in a pickle. But the larger discourse on a whole range of stuff, and especially stuff concerning Israel and Jews, is still terrible, right?
Yep.
And
And it just keeps on getting worse. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not going to change unless you can actually, like, you need either a politician who speaks about it and starts building a movement, a journalist, prominent journalist on TV or in a newspaper who has a voice and talks about it, an influencer, an Instagrammer or TikToker who has a big following who's talking about changing it. It could be someone in an entertainment industry, an actor or this who has. There's none of that. None. In Egypt, for example, none. There was one lady who, after October 7th, had a dissenting opinion. You might know who she is, Dalia Ziada. You might have heard of her. Who we used to interview her at I-24 News. She works for Foundation Defense of Democracies and all this. Like academic, talking about Middle East relations. This also with Israel, who just came and publicly said, "This is a terror attack. It's wrong. We don't support the Muslim Brotherhood, and we should support Israel in this."
The very
You know,
unpopular opinion. Or if people
right?
do actually think
I think
that, they can't say it out loud because of people coming against them. Yeah.
so. I'm saying she said something like that. It might have even been more mild than the way I said it, right? Just an opinion, right? Not f the Palestinians and kill them and like nothing like that. Just saying, this is we should support the Israeli military action to get the hostages back and whatever. And she received endless death threats, and now she's a refugee. She doesn't live in Egypt anymore. She's out of the country. She was run out of the country. I met another guy here when I was in Thailand, actually, who belongs to like the Al Azhar family or something. So like the Al Azhar University in Cairo, which is the most famous Islamic. He belongs to a family of clerics and imams, like a big Islamic family, and he was a rebel. And he spoke out against it, and yeah, he also received death threats and everything. And then he's chased out. He's never going back. He's blacklisted. Can't go back to his homeland. He's left Islam since, and I'm not saying people should do that, leave Islam necessarily, but I'm just saying what it does to you when you speak up, like when you want to have a dissenting opinion, what happens to you, and that's the tough part about this. That's the tough part. So um, I always say people are people, and you have those great moments where you meet people and you have that human interaction despite your differences. But what are the chances of that actually being transformed into some type of action or greater change of sentiment, or how much of that sentiment is out in the public in a meaningful way? And I don't think it's there in Egypt, in Saudi, not really. We're seeing a bit of it in Lebanon now. So, there were all these clips of people on TV shows saying, yes, normalize with Israel, and people on Instagram saying it. Exactly what I'm talking about, journalists, politicians. So the discourse has changed post, the whole war with Hezbollah. There's an actual discourse in the public about doing something differently. And that's what I'm looking for major change. And that's kind of the bad, let's say, conclusion, the more depressing conclusion of the book, which I tried to be positive as well. Of in the end of the day, the sentiment is so hostile, right?
You had
The
uh-huh. You had a moment of hostility that you sort of caught on camera when you were in Egypt, when you were just catching a ride on a motorcycle bike with this guy. Tell us a little bit about that and how that felt to you, because those are the pivotal moments in which you actually feel it on your flesh, not just the rejection of you as an Israeli and a Jew, but you're actually in a country where you're like, oh, okay, will this person go and say that this is an Israeli Jew here? Will this escalate? Like, because that person was definitely not willing to have a conversation with you that day.
Yeah, well, it was also hard to have the conversation because his English is bad and my Arabic is bad. But that is an example of something that happened where I say when I was actually in Egypt, yeah, that was a tough experience to have, and I had a couple other ones which I talk about in the book that happened behind the scenes. That was the worst one that was caught on camera. And when it happened, I actually, and this is actually on camera, where I said right after, okay, he didn't want to take me. He wasn't violent about it, at least. So he just said, no, I'm not taking you, and that's it. Um, and okay, let's keep moving forward. Like, this is vlogging, right? We're experienced. We had an experience. We're not here to go into big philosophical whatever about it for good or bad, right? Because to go on this big rant, all the Egyptians are so terrible, because of one incident, that would be wrong. And then also to say, oh, who cares? So what? That would also be flippant, right? Like, because I did care at the moment that it happened. And actually was like, okay, let's take another motorbike, which is the stupidest thing to do, or the craziest. I don't know. Like, okay, let's try again, and we did, and and I survived that one. So I told him I was from Israel, and he's like, oh, okay. Like, he didn't sound so happy about it, but he didn't kick me off. So that's what happened in the moment. Now, what happened after? And this is what I mean by, in the sense that, okay, when it happened, it was disappointing, but I kind of got over it pretty quickly, and it was still kind of in the experience of the good, the interesting of exploring, and the excitement of being there. And Cairo is very exciting, very exciting. It's huge. There's so much going on. There's so much history there. You know, ancient Egyptian history, Islamic history, Christian history, Jewish history, right? The Ben Ezra synagogue that I visited, the synagogue that Maimonides used to go to, right? Moshe ben Maimon, the great philosopher, like insane. There's so much for a person like me. It was like I was overstimulated, but yeah, it was great in that sense. There was like so much I wanted to do, so I was over that pretty quickly. But after I published the video, well, somebody clipped that section out, and uploaded it to Twitter. Right, stole it, put his own watermark on it,
Wow,
and
that's
uploaded it.
crazy.
It was going super. Yeah, well, people do that all the time. So it's going super viral. Someone I know sent me a link. That's how I found out about it. He's like, look at this. This is you, right? And I went in, and Okay, he was an Egyptian guy living in France, I think, and uploaded it. And yeah, and then there was very viral, like 1 million views plus, or I don't know, and then 2 million, and a lot of comments there. And most of the comments were very aggressive. Was it good that you kicked him off? And I would have done worse, and I would have killed him, and I would have assaulted him, and like just once in a while someone said, maybe it was wrong, but there was just this huge, massive support for this action. And I was like, okay, fine. And I wasn't sure what to do about it. I was like, okay, it's publicity, but he didn't credit me. He didn't write this is Insightful Nomad channel, whatever. So, I'm going to take this down. I'm going to go to Twitter, whatever, admin. I'm going to say this is my content. And I did, and they took it down. But then 2 days later, someone sends me a message. It's like, look, clip, the same clip someone else uploaded. And boom, like again, 2, 3 million views. And the same reaction. F him and Israel, and there's no Israel, and the bike was promised him 3,000 years ago, and you're lucky he didn't steal the bike from you, because that's what the Jews do. They steal, and they steal a Palestinian land, and this, and whatever, and like all these like so nasty, aggressive, violent comments. Um, and then a channel that's affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood in London uploaded it to their channel on YouTube, and then someone showed me a quick thing from Facebook, and it was just everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Tens of millions of views across platforms. Of course, none of them crediting me, right? And all aggressive and all violent and all just hostile. And that's what I mean, but in the sense that after the experience was not so good in many ways, because I was getting all this hostility, um, and yeah, that just didn't feel good. Obviously, not to mention I was a bit concerned because it was going in all these circles of places that are like I'm traveling. I go to London, and then this thing is based in London, whatnot. So that was just made me feel not great about it. That I invested so much time and effort and money, took own risk in order to do a long vlog that was 45 minutes across multiple locations, tell a whole story with all its complexities. And the only thing, well, not the only thing, because the whole video has a lot of views, but the thing that most stuck that people wanted to take out of it was the hate. And that's what resonated with them the most, was the rejection. Um, so that's why I'm saying, it's one thing when you're experiencing, but afterwards, I have, when I look back on it, sometimes some of that is receding, the feeling when I was there, and what's sticking is all that social media animosity.
Wow, there's so many experiences that I feel like we're not going to know unless we actually read your book. And so everyone look at the link that I pinned. Um, to the chat. I want to ask you another question, and then maybe we can actually take questions from the chat, because before you were here, people had some cool questions. So, guys, think about questions that you want to ask Alec. Um, writing this book and processing it, you've been doing this for years. You've been processing all of your experiences. What is your message, or what would you like to leave people with in their hands? Of your thoughts about how we as Jews walk in this world, and your experience in the Muslim world, and what do you want them to understand from this book? What is the main message that you want them to get from it?
It's a good question. I would say first of all, what's sort of in the book is basically three elements that I combine. So one element is I try to suck the reader in a little bit into my experience. Um, what it's like for me walking around, what I was thinking, the best interactions that I had. Some of them you can see on YouTube, which is kind of cool. So you can read the book and then you can see on YouTube the same thing and see if it matches your imagination. And I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth because it actually is on screen. Giving you my personal experience and the interactions that I had with the local population. Then there's a lot interspersed, hopefully smoothly, let me know, those who read, of the history of the countries and also their history regarding Jews in Israel, right? So for example, the chapter about Saudi Arabia, in the beginning, I talk about, Saudi Arabia normalization and stuff, where it's, what is Saudi Arabia's attitude towards Israel historically, which is kind of more distant, right? They weren't in the wars and so forth. They didn't send troops. but they have conspiracy theories, like they, arrested a vulture because the vulture had a tag that said Tel Aviv University, so they thought it was a spy vulture. This kind of thing. So I'm putting in that an historical element regarding Israel, and also a historical element not regarding Israel, to kind of explain what the country is about. So like Saudi Arabia, how the royal family, how it came about, the House of Saud, Wahhabism, which is the type of Islam which they practice there. Um, so there's my personal experience and the interactions and the kind of, here's the travel, the historical thing looming in the background, also regarding Israel, and then the combination of those two in my sort of conclusions, which I give a bit throughout the book and also at the end of, okay, so what does it mean, right? So this was my personal experience. This is what I know about the history, and does it match, in some way? And how do I put that together to tell you this is where we stand? What can we learn from this? And those are basically the elements of the book. And I think, one interesting thing, positive thing, because I do want to be positive, because there's a lot of, I think the book is, I don't know, like I think one person might read it and say you're being too positive, one person might read it and say you're being too negative. So I don't know. It's interesting what people think about that. So there's a lot of negative, and there's quite a bit of positive as well. And I think one of the conclusions is that when you're in real life, real experience, very often it is more positive than the online reaction. I think. That when I was there, like I said, I had a pretty good experience in some way. But when I look back at it, my experience is negative because I remember all that social hate that I got. And in general, the people who are online, wasting their time, writing hate comments and stuff, there are a lot of people who are not wasting their time doing that, and those are the people you might meet in real life. So that's kind of one of the conclusions, is that yeah, it maybe the world isn't such a bad place after all, if you actually step foot in it and are not busy hating on social media, maybe. So that's kind of the positive thing to remember, is that yeah, even in the worst places, the places that are most hostile with the worst ideology, there is a chance that if you parachuted in and you said, I'm a Jew from Israel, the person will be nice to you and invite you to coffee. There is a chance, right?
Slight
It's hard to
chance.
test because of the it's hard to test because of the risk, but I know because I did it, and it's true. So there is that. On the other hand, on the negative side is the fact that, like I said, the public sentiment is very bad, and it's very hard to change because they don't have freedom of speech, and people who have a different opinion get run out. And of course, the people who have that less hostile opinion are also less violent, and the people who have the more hostile opinion are, by definition, more violent and more willing to threaten those people who are more moderate. And that's the problem. And I don't know how that's going to change. So that's kind of something I would take away, is yeah, it's hard to change sentiment in these parts of the world because of the freedom of speech problems. On the other hand, there is under the surface a lot of other things that you don't know about, and a lot of people who I think are great, just great, and I'm really happy I met them. And I wouldn't. It would be hard for me if I had without the people along the way who helped me. The Nubian boat driver in Aswan, the Muhammad, the Egyptian in Saudi who drove me around, the Moroccan guy. Like so many people helped me and were great. So I'm just very, very blessed and thankful.
So there's a lot of different dynamics that people, sometimes we'd like to be black and white. Everyone is like this or everyone is like that. And really, what you're saying is that when you travel to these countries, you will have a mix of people that if, you actually have a human being with two eyes standing in front of you, it could be that their whole worldview might be a little bit shaken because here is the person that they thought was, this horrible, Zionist, baby killer, whatever, then suddenly you're just a smiling guy wanting to have coffee with them. Now, not every situation is like that, and not every person thinks that way, but it really does sort of debunk a lot of, people's perception of what a Jew is, how our relationships are with, people in Muslim countries. Um, it's just I wish that I could plant my feet in all these different places that you've been in. I'm actually very jealous. I'd love to go. Could I'll get away with it with my, American accent and blue
But that,
eyes.
but look, yeah, well, you can say you're American. Look, I mean, the thing is, it would be so great if there was this traveling, I mean, us to them, them to us, it would change so much. There was Mahmoud, the Egyptian guy, who saw my vlog in Egypt and really excited him. And he also kind of had this interest in Israel because he met Israelis in South America. And then he came to Israel. He does have a foreign passport, an Irish one, which was kind of, he's sort of like a bit of a expat, right? Egyptian expat living abroad. And we had a great video together in Israel. And that was a big bridge builder as well. So yeah, I mean, he visited, I visited there, and all that. That I feel like that's good when it's done with the right intention and not with the intention of being negative and stuff, which a lot of people do as well. And yeah, I mean, it would be great if that was a reality of people able to go and absorb each other. I think it would do a lot of good, but it's kind of hard to do and risky to do, and not even possible. I mean, I had the passport to get into Saudi. Israelis can't get into Saudi. Yeah, I mean, for sure, I wish I wish more people had my experience, and I wish more of them on their side had Mahmoud's experience of coming to Israel and having a local person like me show them around and explain things to them and get to meet people. I wish that were the case. I think it would be great.
That would be amazing. I think we have a question here from Arthur, to you, Alec. How do you deal with the situation in Israel after 2.5 years of war? Does the war for you means opportunities, or do you want to flee it?
Well, I fled, right? I'm in Thailand.
Some scenic vacation, but you didn't flee
Well,
out of fear. You
that's
flee.
I fled temporarily. Okay, guys, I'm not but yeah, everyone needs sometimes that chance to kind of get away from it. Because I did a lot of covering of wars in Israel as a journalist and also as a vlogger. When I was there, I went to impact sites. I was working as a freelancer in news channels. Um, so
See
it's
a
not
lot of
easy to
sad
deal with.
things too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. But even in, I was lucky to have not been seriously impacted by, I didn't have any really close people I knew who were killed, for example, October 7th, as a lot of people did, mostly younger people, because they had people at the, friends at the Nova Festival, which was younger people. I had a cousin, I had several, went to several funerals, and so that kind of thing. I was able to escape that. Um, we had a lot of rocket attacks, of course, that were coming. This in the Iran war and all that. So all that going to sirens at 3 a.m. The constant, running running the shelters and all that.
It's
It's
exhausting.
it's very tough, and in northern Israel it's worse with the Hezbollah and everything. And of course, we get zero sympathy internationally. Nobody cares about all the refugees from northern Israel. When that was kicking off, I think 7 8 months, Israel barely did anything. We were focusing on Gaza. Nobody cared until Israel responded, and then all of a sudden they all kicked into action, right? So it's tough. It's yeah, we don't get a lot of sympathy for it. People don't care really about what people in Israel go through, because the other side, if they're going through worse, then that's all they care about, and not who is responsible, like what's leading to it, the ideology behind it. They're just in the strong versus weak mentality. If you're stronger, then you're bad, and that's not how the world works. You can be strong and righteous, and you can be stupid, violent, and not right, and weak. That's kind of what I say often about Hamas. They're weak and stupid. I used to say that until they pulled off what they pulled off, and now I just say that they're weak. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing, but that doesn't make you right. So yeah, I it's tough. It's tough to be in Israel going through all this, and we don't get much sympathy, do we?
No, we really, really don't. Even I was on a vacation in the States for like 3 weeks after not leaving Israel for like 3 years. So like since before October 7th and all the wars, and I do much less reporting than you. But still, it's enough reporting that you go to sad places and see things and have to edit them, and it does wear on you. And I found that for like a week, it took my body to calm down like an actual week. I kept every plane that I saw, every sound that I heard, all these different things. It just felt too similar. And it really played with my mind so much because I'm like, I know that I'm not in danger now, but it felt like I was in danger, but there was nothing to protect me. And so, being here
Yeah.
in Israel for that long in that situation, you have this hypervigilance inside of you that when you go abroad, it's like your body just doesn't know how to calm down. And so I think that everyone should, if they can in Israel, go on a vacation and just get out of here a bit. You're so used to the intensity of it that you don't realize that your body doesn't know what calm is anymore. And for the people up north that are, they're even telling them, send your kids back to school and all these things. It's like, how are you sending your kids back to school? How do you want us to do that if we're still being, bombarded by all these, because in the rest of the country at some point, if it's not from Iran, if it's not from Yemen, you don't feel it anymore. It's just like in the beginning of the War of October 7th. If you weren't in the Gaza envelope, you didn't necessarily know what it felt like to be under attack of rockets. Once in a while it'd be sent to Jerusalem, but you didn't know how that feels like. I think now the whole country does know in different ways how it feels like to be in the same type of war. But I think it's really important to give your body and your mind a break, especially you as a reporter and as a vlogger. It's paramount.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I totally understand what you're saying about the body not knowing how to relax. That's kind of one of the reasons I ended up staying here longer because I felt like after 3 weeks, I still hadn't, was still stressed. And here it's like I'm de-stressing. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's a problem though, because if that's the situation all the time, then people are gonna leave or what? They're not gonna want to invest in the country, build it, make it the beautiful beautiful thing it can be, because so that's a risk of, and they know that our enemies, that's one of the reasons they want to wear us down, right? They want to drag us into endless wars, endless political battles, endless diplomatic isolation, threats and whatnot. This is what they want. It's a war of attrition. I mean, I still think that outlasting the Jews is not a smart strategy.
Outlasting the Jews is not a smart strategy. Explain that to us.
Just outlasted everything, like, so, 'cause that's their
Oh,
strategy, right? They can outlast us. I mean, I kind of laugh at it when I think like this is your strategy, okay? I mean, that's the Romans and the Persians and the whatever and the Nazis and everyone. I don't know. Is this your strategy? But I don't know. Maybe they'll be the first to succeed at it.
oh goodness. I hope and I pray that won't happen. Guys, let's take another few questions. Someone here asked, "Do you feel safe outside of Israel?" I'm supposing they're asking about you right now.
Depends where you are. Thailand is. I feel very safe. Thailand is. I know you've probably seen some of those videos of people getting harassed. There was a big one in Vietnam, right? Of Israelis getting harassed by a bunch of Pakistani, British, a mom and daughter, right? That's their family bonding, is go harass Israelis. I feel fine. I think it's so many people here are in a mode of relaxation or escape from so many different problems they have in their whatever, that people here are very, they don't want to unpack it, and the host population here is so chill, it's so nice and so not obsessed with Israel like they are in Europe. So I don't think there's a problem here, but I know there's problems in other places. I know that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm walking around London, I'm walking around
Yeah.
parts of. And yeah, I mean, there I don't know, it's a bit different. But like I said, I think I do believe in standing tall and being who you are, and not backing down when possible. So not, I mean, not look for fights, but also not be ashamed of anything. So, um, but here in Thai, I think in East Asia, it's kind of they're not there. They're not in that obsession nearly as much as they are in other places. And it's an obsession. That's what it is. They've always had an obsession with us, Europe. I hesitate to say, yeah, that it's a religiously motivated thing with the Jews, but it's they do have an obsession with it. They've always had an obsession with it.
So let's
I
talk
don't know
about
what to say.
another country with an obsession. Let's talk about Iran for a second. So we are not even neighbors with Iran, but they definitely have their eye on us for a long, long time, for decades. Um, where do you see us as we're standing now? We've had, wars with them. We've had very sudden ceasefires, which left everyone in the country very discombobulated after the 12-day war, if we're calling it that. And since then, them and the Houthis have been, at some point, we attacked them because we understood that they were going to attack us. And now we're sort of at this weird standstill agreements. What do you see happening now with all of your knowledge?
Well, it's been a big change. I was as a reporter covering Iran so much in the sense of all those nuclear negotiations and where their nuclear program is at and where their ballistic missile program is at and what's going on with the Iranian proxies and what's going on with the Iranian presence in Syria and what's going on in like I was covering that ad nauseum when I was working in the news, and then after I left the news, this massive change happened, which is the direct conflict between Israel and Iran, which had kind of been in the making for so long. And it was pretty, looking online, it's crazy how Israel attacked Iran. I mean, they've been attacking us for decades via their proxies and then attacked us directly, right? In 2024, April, they launched thousands of missiles and drones at Israeli civilians. And everyone forgot about that after 10 seconds. They always forget about these things. So yeah, it's went into this mode of a direct war between Israel and Iran for the first time, and we thought it would be a good development maybe because we were able to directly strike their nuclear program and take out all their missile defense systems, and we got America to help us do it, which was their interest as well, right? It was a shared interest. But I do think that this latest war, or the renewal of the strikes, I do think there was a hope that Iran would kind of like crumble because after those protests, it looked like they were on the edge. I do think that was a goal, right? I think the regime crumbles, um, and there's some type of regime change. I definitely think they were hoping that was going to happen, and it didn't. And that's it. So you can say maybe it shouldn't have been done. I'm of the opinion that it was sort of something that kind of had to be tried. The sort of what I think about the Oslo peace process in Israel, which is people say, "Well, it was doomed to fail. It was never going to work." It had to be tried. It just had to be tried. Partition, peace on partition was never going to work, but it had to be tried. So I kind of feel like that was something that sort of, to a certain extent, had to be tried, which is to it's kind of like a maximum pressure decapitating strike on Khamenei and this, and then the regime crumbles, and it didn't. I think if it wasn't for all the domestic brouhaha and all the international whatever, then it still would have been a decent thing because they were, America showed that when they threaten, they mean it. All their nuclear programs were set back, their military was set back, but because of the way politics works in democracies, there's all this great angst and so forth, Trump midterms and all that kind of thing. So even if in reality, in the actual practice, there wasn't a massive loss of life on the American side, it cost money, fine, yeah, but it wasn't like a huge expenditure. The Iranians were hit extremely hard. They understood that so like it wasn't a bad thing, even though you didn't get exactly the result that you want. But because of how the psyche works in these things, it's like America lost, right? America was the one that cracked first. It's a dynamic. It's the same dynamic we have with Hamas, where if you don't totally eviscerate them, you lost, and if they can come out with their hand like this and survive, then they won. And that's rules of the game. That's impossible to. You always come out losing, sort of, right? It's like a football match where unless you win 10-0, you lost, right? So you're always going to lose, and that's kind of how the perception works. So yeah, that's kind of what happened with Iran now was so like this perception that Trump lost, America lost, Israel lost, Iran won. Even though in practice, did they? No.
Hmm. I think it's really difficult because people don't. they don't differentiate between the regime and the actual people of Iran. And I know that you probably get a lot of messages on your Instagram, on your YouTube from people from Iran, and I do too, that they say, "Hey, we're with you and don't stop the fighting." And like they're basically saying, "Let's join forces to help us get out of this situation." And it really is heartbreaking as a Jewish Israeli knowing that, we are surrounded by enemies, but we have a country in which you can debate whether or not it's a democracy or not, but I can say my opinion and I can fight for my opinion without being afraid that if I protest about it in the street, I'm going to get shot. And the loss, the casualties there, the murder really was so, so, so severe. I just thought it was so appalling looking at the coverage of it in the world that there was barely anything, and it was being covered. As in like, yeah, I'm not sure about the numbers, protests. Just like when you go, to any country abroad and you see how they cover any terrorist attack against Israel, it is so biased and so strangely put, all their wording, that you just can't take it seriously. And I've seen that happen with Iran, and it really is heartbreaking. So, people like you that have actually been on the ground, maybe not in Iran, but in other places, you can give an unbiased or as much unbiased as human beings can be, experience about how to look at things and how to sort of open up your mind to different options and different perspectives. And I think that that's great.
Well, I was smiling when you say you weren't in Iran because I was very close. I did a video when I was in Azerbaijan called "Journey to the border with
The
Iran" or something
border.
like that. And yeah, I made it to Astara, which is the border city in Azerbaijan, and got arrested by the Azeri Secret Service. Um, yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. I it's
Is
not in
that
my
in the,
book,
is that in the
so you
book?
see, it's not the law. No, no, it's not because it's just I don't know how to put it in there. It's not relevant really, but yeah, Azerbaijan have very tense relationship with Iran because of their relationship with Israel because there's a massive Azeri minority in Iran. You know how there's all these minority, only like less than half the country is Persian. There's all these minorities, and they're afraid that they will want to join Azerbaijan. They also accuse Israel of spying on Iran from the Azeri border, which is probably true. So it's like yeah, and then I was just wanted to find a sign that said Iran that way, and I was walking like in the border area, and then like I noticed all of a sudden a vehicle like driving behind me kind of suspiciously, and I didn't know what to do. And then later they came and these guys jumped out and they started interrogating me like crazy. Took my phone, looked at all the images, and it was scary. Yeah. We have a good relationship with Azerbaijan, so I kind of knew that even if they arrested me, I'd probably get out of it. They talked to Israeli contacts, but it was one of the scary moments I had. Yeah. So I was
Crazy. You
very
almost
close
made
to
it.
being.
You almost
I
made
was
it.
never. I wasn't gonna cross. I wasn't planning on crossing. I just wanted that video of like Iran there, and it was close to the border, and they thought I was suspicious. But I was very close. I was as close as I got to Iran. But yeah, my dream obviously is to visit the number one destination I want to go to. If the regime falls, I would do like 1 year of vlogging in Iran nonstop. I would go to the tomb of Cyrus the Great, and I would cry like a baby. I swear, if I got the chance, it would be like the most emotional thing.
You've been
I
covering it for
wish, I
so
wish one
many
day.
years. To suddenly be there would be an insane experience.
And I met so many Iranians all over the place, and they're great. I met Iranians I met in Armenia, and I met in everywhere, and they're amazing. They're great people, and they're not hostile to us. Mostly the expats in particular, because they're out of Iran, so for a reason. And
I
yeah, they're
actually
wonderful and
had
great.
I had a really cool experience, like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. I live like near Jerusalem, and I was heading into city center to work. And for some reason, I like pivoted and changed the cafe that I was going to work in. And I'm sitting there just for a few minutes with my laptop. And then suddenly I hear someone say, Oriel. And I look up and it's this woman that I don't know. And she's like, Oriel in Israel? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh my gosh. She said, I was literally praying. I guess she's been watching like the vlog for like a few months. She's a Christian Iranian that used to be Muslim
Wow.
in Iran when she was like 16, and basically found faith in Yeshua and Jesus through a supernatural way. She was like Muslim, was discontent with her beliefs, and asked basically like the truth to reveal itself to her. And then she had an encounter with Jesus basically. And so she's like, oh my gosh,
That's
I've
such
been
an
praying.
Oreo. That's such an Oreo thing.
Say again.
It's a very Oreo thing. It's a very Oriental thing.
It
So
was
like
crazy.
you're searching and you go into this thing and then it reveals it, right? I've seen you like that's such like you probably had a bond with her. Wait, so sorry, I interrupted the story. So what happened? So
You're
she
fine.
came and she was all excited.
Yeah, it was so cool. So basically, she was watching the vlog for like a few months, and I think she used to actually have a big platform, but because of all of the hatred against her, it was too much, so she got off of it. But she's in,
Yeah.
the same world as you and I. And she was basically saying that she was praying that she would somehow meet me, and she would ask people like, "Do you know this person?" And they're like, "No, I don't know." So she was praying that somehow she would get to meet me, and then suddenly we meet by chance at this cafe. So she starts telling me her
By
story
chance
basically.
or not?
Like, what are the odds, right? And so she basically said that she used to be a
Not chance.
Muslim.
Maybe it was meant to be.
Yeah, at age 16, she basically had that encounter, and then she moved, I guess, to the States. And then she's like, "Hey, you have to meet my friends. This is Rami and his wife." So I'm like, "Who's this Rami guy?" So Rami is also an Iranian who, at the
Oh
age of
wow.
16, he was basically his story, just from the little bit that I know, is that he came back from a wedding with his friends, and they're all in the same car. The regime stopped them. They smelled alcohol on them, and they basically took them into prison and tortured all of them, like stripped them naked,
Wow.
tortured them, all these things, beat them horrible and tortured them, and then somehow they were released at some point. And he's like, "What is this?" Like, I thought he was Muslim, right? So he's like, "Why are they so against me if I'm of them?" From here to there, it's like all these supernatural ways he comes to faith in Yeshua also, and supernaturally through his like prayers, his mom is like healed from a disease that she had, and he's like, I have to explore this. At age 16, at age 19, God tells him to escape Iran. And so he basically just escapes through a border, is in Turkey for 2 years, and makes it to the States. He meets there,
Wow.
I think he meets there or through the world of the internet, his wife, who is a Jewish Israeli who lives here. And suddenly
Oh
we're
wow.
all meeting at a cafe in city center Jerusalem at the very same morning that that Iran sent rockets like 2 weeks ago or whatever it
Yeah.
was. It doesn't end there. Wait for it. We're sitting there, they're telling me about their life stories and about everything that God did for them. I'm like, this is crazy. And they have such light in their eyes. And they basically say that it's because of the God of Israel that they are now Zionists, that they used to hate Israel and now they love Israel. So we're talking, talking, talking. He's like, whoa, wait a second. There's that lady. And I'm looking back. I'm like, who's this lady in the cafe that he knows? He goes, and who is it he sees? Rowan from Syria. Do you know Rowan?
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've never met her, but she pops up on my feeds all the time. She was there?
exactly. She's there too, speaking with this rabbi because she's converting to Judaism.
Yeah.
And so suddenly it's like two Iranians, the Syrian converting to Judaism, and a Jew. And I'm just like, what is happening? How did this happen? And I was not planning on going to that cafe at all. I'd never sit there. And I was just
Oh, that
sitting there
wasn't
being
you.
like,
That was not your
wow,
normal cafe, right?
not my normal place to sit at all, at all. I was like, wow, this is so
Yeah.
cool. I just felt like it was like orchestrated for all of us to meet each other. So I'm going to interview Rami eventually because his story is insane. And actually, right now, as we speak, his brother was captured in a protest by the Iranian regime and he's being tortured in prison. So, for if there are
Same.
any people of faith here, you guys can pray for Rami's brother. But yeah, an insane, insane story. So I'm going to find Rami and I'm going to interview him for the channel. Yeah, it's just once people really understand the truth about Israel, whether it comes through your own faith or it comes through, exploring why the propaganda is actually propaganda, and not just we're saying that's propaganda, but actually doing your research, things actually change. Like Rawan. Rawan hated Israel before, but when she discovered the truth, she's like, I'm not going back. I understand the truth now. My eyes have been opened. And I think through that truth, people that should be natural enemies are not enemies anymore. And I think that you show that in your book, you show that in your vlog. It's, yeah, I hope that we have more encounters like this in Israel and abroad.
Did you take Rawan's details? Are you like gonna try also like do something with her or collab?
It was sort of a quick encounter they exchanged between them. And I
Okay.
was, I was sort of, if it wasn't meant to be, wasn't meant to
Yeah.
be. But who knows? We'll see. But I was happy to meet all of them that day. It was just amazing.
Yeah, no, it's it's very cool. And when that stuff happens, when you meet people, I mean, it's like, yeah, meant to be, huh?
Meant to be. So, guys, let's maybe take another question. And then again, I'm going to put Alex, if you haven't already seen it, I'm going to put his YouTube channel here. And it's also his new book is pinned in the chat. So let's take another question from you guys. And here is the link to his YouTube channel. I'm assuming that everyone here already watches Alec. That's what I'm assuming because I do.
I don't know because my channel's been through all kinds of iterations, and you were talking about like creating those bridges with the other side because I burned those bridges a little bit myself because I was doing the vlogs and I had a kind of diverse audience on my channel when I was doing live streams. Whenever I would do a poll about Israel, Palestine, it was like a 50-50 very often, like it was a split, meaning there was a split of people who kind of support Israel, people who were either hate Israel or more critical of Israel, but were still watching. And that was interesting. And, it's kind of, um, I think, yeah, I was able to reach some people and influence them in some way. And then maybe I gave up that opportunity when I kind of transitioned more into the reaction videos and the more, I don't know if you call it like a clickbaity, whatever. But on the other hand, there was a problem in what I was doing because in the live streams I was a lot more real about the whole thing. But in the vlogs, like you said, like we were talking before, I was hiding half the time, and there were a lot of things I didn't say, and I was being over diplomatic. And in the end of the day, there's that sometimes there's that desire to just like find a bridge, build that bridge, find that niceness, and you're giving up the truth along the way, and that's a problem. That is a problem that can actually harm you. I talk about it a little bit in the case of Egypt in my book, actually, where Egypt basically constructed this false narrative that they smashed Israel in the 1973 war. It's one of the best scenes in my video where I go to their war museum, the October Panorama, as they call it, in Cairo. Very cool museum with insane graphics, like how state of the art, but wrong, right? It's We smashed Israel in the war. We took the lands by force from Israel in the war, and not what actually happened, which is that they negotiated. They said, look, we want to make peace with Israel, full recognition. And as part of a comprehensive agreement, Israel gave Sinai back. 8 years after, right? 1982 was the last withdrawal. That was how much after it happened, almost a decade after. And this is something that people in Israel will never talk about, politicians, because they don't want to rock the boat with Egypt. And I understand that. But what I'm saying is what I noticed, the problem, that basically instead of what should have been the conclusion, which is, look, you can get something out of Israel by negotiating with it and by recognizing it, and not just through smashing it in war and taking your lands. Instead, they reached the opposite conclusion, the wrong conclusion. And that's been internalized by others, including the Palestinians. And they took inspiration from Egypt. They launched, on the 50-year anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. They did it on a holiday, Simchat Torah. The parallels were talked about repeatedly in the media and so forth. And you have these discussions with Palestinians and with their supporters who say you can't negotiate with Israel, so they're resorting to resistance, right? To terrorism. And you say, wait a second, I don't know. Look, here is an example where you did negotiate with Israel. And then they'll say, no, no, no. Oh, if Egypt hadn't defeated Israel in the war, then Israel would have occupied Cairo, right?
Yeah.
Apparently. So this is the kind of one of the problems of making peace via an untruth. And I question, would you even been able to make that peace with Egypt if they couldn't have buttressed it with this grand victory of revenge against Israel? I don't know. So on the one hand, it's a tough question because you say, wait, you take what you can take, right? But then you pay a price, and that's kind of like a price that now I'm not willing to pay. Like I'm not willing to lie, I'm not willing to pretend, um, and that's why I changed into this much more critical stance. Uh, and I don't know, like if in the greater good of things, if that's gonna create more good or bad. I don't know. I had I had my reservations about it, and still do, about the way to do it.
And also things are very
So yeah.
dynamic. Like I don't know if you had the chance to hear, I think this happened either today or yesterday, but I think that there's Israel has been warning that things could, I don't know if to say escalate with Egypt, but that there's a real potential that terror will actually come towards Eilat. And then what happened is that there wasn't a type of infiltration that came actually on
Mm,
a motorbike, a motor water bike. I don't know how you say that word, like a jet ski,
oh
basically,
wow.
towards Israel.
Yeah.
Because that what they think that they did is that they were trying to see, like, test the security around Israel in that area. And so I think that people don't understand that even though we do have a technical like peace agreement with Jordan and Egypt, they don't love Israel. It's just sort of like a status quo, and you never know what they have up their sleeve. We do have someone that asked a question um, here on the bottom. Do you want to take that one? I'll read it out loud
So yeah, so that was what I was doing now. Because I can't, for some reason I can't see. I'm gonna try go into your channel now and put it on mute, is what I'm hearing here.
so you can
That
see
for
the
some reason
chat.
the questions are not showing up for some reason. So yeah, I'll see the chat, and
Here, so I'll say
I
the
just have to
question
put it
out
on
loud
mute.
as you do that. The question is, what do you
Yeah.
think is the best way people who may not be correctly informed, how do you reach them? Oh, sorry. Let me say that again.
How do you?
What do you think is the best uh phrase it funny. What do you think is the best way people can find common ground and connect with people who may not be correctly informed? How do you reach them?
Yeah, I see. I'm seeing it over here now. Well, it depends who you are, right? As in, are you a random person, or are you a content creator where you have maybe a bigger audience on socials or whatnot? So
I'd
that's
say
like a
the average
question.
person.
Obviously, if you I mean, you can do these mingle things, right? Where you go on mingle and you talk to other people. You can do that if you want and see. You can try if you have the possibility of visiting another place and see. Um, and I could say in Israel, there's the possibility of talking just to Arabs in Israel, even, which is sometimes
Yeah, come visit
they don't
Israel.
connect with us.
Reignite our
Yeah, yeah,
tourism.
yeah. I mean, but I mean it's it's a thing. Like I could say the same thing about me. I went up to the Golan and I met some of the Druze, and that was great. And I had to, back in when I was learning the Arabic, met some of the Arabs in Jaffa, and that was nice. And it's meeting people is a great thing. And everyone can share a little thing on their social media if they think it's something that they feel strongly about, and you'll never know who it can reach. Actually, if you're just that random person and not a creator, and people met you somewhere, you traveled to Thailand on some trip like me, and you met someone, and then they see something on your social that can actually impact them if you're into doing that. So I do think, yeah, those are little things that can be done if you want to have some type of discourse or affect people's opinions. And it's also okay not to search for it, but just to do it when it comes up, right? So you don't have to, like, life, it's not for everyone to do this kind of thing.
I
It's
would say
tough. There's a lot
also,
of,
yeah, I would say I'll just
no,
interject.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that if you, sorry, because we have a bit of a lag. That's why sometimes, so yeah, I'm saying, of course, like, if you don't want to be dealing with that negativity, you can not deal with it, like, not seek it out. But then if you happen to get into a conversation with someone, to just say what you think. Yeah. So,
Right, exactly. I think that there's you have to sort of proceed with caution because um even within like the content creator world, you understand that there's just only so much that you can do. And you have to consider the type of person who you're talking with, because some of it is pointless. Some people have made up their mind and they're just there to antagonize and just there to be trolls and just
yeah,
there to be hateful. And then there are the people that are genuinely curious. And I think in order to find the genuinely curious people, you have to be genuinely curious yourself. And you have to be a person who is I wouldn't even use the words open-minded, but more informed with an open mind. It's not enough to
yeah,
just be like open-minded, because then what happens is that anyone can come with an opinion. And you're like, oh,
yeah,
yeah, that could be true. I
yeah,
accept that. And then the other person
yeah,
gives an opinion. You're like, oh, but wait a second, what if that's true? And it's like, okay, two truths can be there at the same time, but also there are lies. Not every perspective is legitimate. Not every person is legitimate. There are actual liars out there in the world. Just like the example that you gave, that when you go to this museum in Egypt, you're like, this did not happen the way that they said it, or this did not happen at all. I remember that I interviewed an IDF sniper who was part of one of the operations that were very, very, very famous, that Israel got a lot of smack about, what they think that we did to a hospital and all these things. And in the interview, he literally says
Is that the
that
one where
never
they? Is that the one
happened.
where they Is that the one where they rescued Al Gamani and stuff? And then there was like a bunch
It's
of civilians that were killed. Is it that one?
it's the one about the first hospital that they said was attacked
Oh,
and
Al
bombed.
Ali, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
so,
yeah,
he wasn't able to get into the details, as far as his involvement in it, but he literally said that never happened, as far as, like, all that when he came out of Gaza, all the media and what everyone said, and he said that he had 000 trust in the media, and that's talking to someone that I know personally, like, not just as a soldier. I know this person personally. He is not a liar. And so, what are
yeah,
you going to do? You put these two things on the scale, but the whole world is saying Israel is this, hospital bombing, baby killers, da 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 da. And then you have a person who is actually there, who I know personally and trust, and you know the actual truth. Even Israeli media, you look at what they say, and you're like, I actually know the truth from someone on the ground, and people wouldn't even believe that. So you have to find the right people to talk with, and just be informed and come, I think, with less of a personal attitude towards information and more of just an informed attitude. If your agenda
yeah,
is
yeah.
actually to make peace between people, you have to have a calm about you that doesn't take things personally. Like, I think you and I know just how much antagonism can be. I mean, you had that, literally people viewing things in the millions and antagonizing you in the millions or in the thousands or the hundreds of thousands. And you have to have
Yeah.
very, very thick skin, and you have to know who you are to be able to deal with that kind of backlash. So I would say proceed with caution and listen. If it's not for you and you just want to have quiet conversations when someone asks your opinion, have quiet conversations. You don't have to get on the internet and, you know, fight every single person. And also, a lot of the things that you see online, they're bots. They're not even real. So you could literally be arguing against a bot. It's just ridiculous. But that's my 2 cents.
No, no, and it's a great what? Why am I hearing myself? Oh, yeah, no, it's a great point, and I think that point you said about your attitude towards information is really spot on because you can get very personal about this is what I know and it's right, and then like feel like your ego is hurt that somebody's contradicting you. And there's a difference between being confident that you know things that probably a lot of the people around are so stupid they don't know, and like you're confident in a lot of stuff, and being arrogant. It's a fine line between being confident and arrogant. And I think also another interesting thing is uh, that very often the more people are informed, the less confident they become in their knowledge because they know how much they don't know. You probably know this phenomenon, right? So the more you're ignorant on a subject, the more confident you are, and it's insane. And this is what you see with all these college students. They're just so ignorant, and that's why they're confident, because they don't know how much they don't know. They don't understand how complex the region is. They don't understand like so that's just the thing that comes kind of the more you dig into a subject, all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, there's so much to this. Like very often, and it kind of humbles you a little bit, right? It makes you understand, like, wow, I'm only seeing like the edge of the surface on this thing.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's kind of what's fun. That smart people are sometimes some smart people are also arrogant and think they know everything, but some smart people are actually humbled by how big and complex the world is and understand that they really only know the tip, and stupid people think they know everything.
I mean, honestly, I think if all the smart people in the world were as smart and as capable, then we might have found a solution by now. But I don't think anyone can solve the Middle East, not overnight, and probably not in a lot of years from now. But I think that we all do our due diligence to, shed little parts of truth. And that's, I think, why I love your channel. And I really appreciated the fact that, like, when we first collabed, like, over a year ago, and I asked you all these questions,
Yeah.
you really gave an honest perspective, which I really appreciated because my perspective, I think, even a year ago was like somewhat naive in different ways. And speaking to more and more people, you just have your eyes opened when you see people with actual real experience. And I that's what I think both you and I would encourage people to do. So like go to Alec's channel, explore all the things that he comments about, not just the travel vlogs which are amazing, but all of that knowledge brought forth into the type of content that you do now is so precious and so needed in this world. So I really encourage everyone to go to his channel, and again his book is linked and pinned there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all the success that you have. I mean, the fact that you've grown so much in a year just on the YouTube channel, I know that your content's changed and, it takes time to grow in the way that you're sort of funneling it to, but I think it's just amazing and you deserve every bit of it.
Yeah, well, Tada Rabah, like I really, really appreciate it. And I see your channel's also done some great things. I remember when I first saw it, you had like 2,000 subscribers or something. And I know you kind of you started it. I think we talked about it a little bit, and we're doing some of these like little vlogs and stuff that and just kind of showing your own experience. And it grew, and you see here, look, you're doing live stream, you're getting, people are engaged and stuff. And yeah, because I think you actually are able to bring out your personal self and thoughts and feelings more than most people, more than me, right? I'm more like Professor Alec. I'll tell you this, like I'll give you the dry facts. Like you're very into the what you're actually feeling, and people like that because we're feeling human beings, and people, yeah, yeah, when someone is sharing the depths of himself, of his thoughts on these things, then on complex topics, then people that really resonates with people. And I think that's why you have like a very it seems to me like a very what do you call it, loyal following, right? The people who follow you, they really connect with you. And that's what I used to have. I used to have like not a that larger following, but they were very loyal. And then when I kind of, I think I went a little bit like against my beliefs in a sense that I put aside a little bit some of that depth and went more for the what works, right, and paid a little bit of a price to that in the loyalty of the followers. They noticed it, they saw it, they were. So now I'm trying to kind of recalibrate. I think people really appreciate honesty and authenticity on YouTube, especially nowadays where everything's kind of become, there's a lot of slop out there, a lot of AI stuff, a lot of bots, as you said. So when they see real human beings with real feelings and original thoughts, I think that resonates. And it's kind of, we have to remember that because when we're not huge creators, not you or I, and you see the big ones who are retards, some of them like this, it's like it's infuriating, but and it makes you want to just do anything to get like, and you got to be like, no, you do the slow route, you do the correct route, you stay true to yourself.
Exactly.
That's we got to do that. We got to.
Exactly. Yeah, I think staying true to yourself is the key. And I think that you're doing it well. It's like everything is dynamic. We're dynamic as people that reflects in our channels and on our platforms. And honestly, I think you've invested so much. I've in the last, I think, 2 years, I've barely invested in my YouTube. And yes, you and I still have faithful followings of people that they really are there for the content. And that does change according to what it is that you publish. But I think that things take time to change and the wheels turn, but I think that the right audience definitely does reach eventually. So I'm really happy. I'm really
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
for this talk.
Yeah, no, it's great, and one of my followers said you should do a live with Hoyan also, and like shared followers and stuff, and yeah, no, it was a great talk. I think we covered a lot, and yeah, I really hope people get the chance to read the book. It's something I poured a lot of into, even though it's not that long, but I thought about a lot about how to structure it and like what to do about it, and I'm very proud of it. I've always wanted to write a book, and made it happen. So
You did, and
yeah, guys, if you want to
congratulations.
something, yeah, then do it. And yeah, as far as the book itself has a QR code to the playlist called Visiting the Enemy, which is all the videos that are relevant to that topic. So if you don't want, and there's also a playlist on my channel called Visiting the Enemy. So if that's what interests you, and it's the older videos on my channel, and now the newer ones, which is the more of the commentary, then you can actually even do that split, or you can check it all out. And yeah, and the book is on Amazon. And if anyone actually ends up getting it, and if you leave a review, that would be amazing. Trying to like rank it on Amazon and all that. And and yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say except yeah, I think I've been blessed to have all these experiences and come out unscathed and be able to write it down and have something like that to my name. I just yeah. In these moments, despite all the difficulties, I feel blessed. Feel blessed to be with you here, Oliel, sharing our deepest thoughts. It's yeah. I don't know. These are the good moments. Some good moments in the content world. What can I say?
Absolutely, yeah. We're on the same page. And again, the his book is Visiting the Enemy: An Israeli Vlogger's Journey Across the Arab and Muslim World. I'm jealous. So guys, head to there. Again, the link is there, pinned. And actually, you'll be encouraged because more than the people that you see have been live now. Everyone on my channel, they always go back and they watch the live if they didn't manage to see it, and they will literally watch till the end. And so, guys, go and go to his YouTube, look at the book, buy it, read it, share it with friends, and hopefully, I'll see you when you come back at some point.
I
It'll
need
be
to.
great.
I mean, it's. I think there's so many things I could do in that, in the journalism world and in my content and with the book when I go back. It's just hard because, like, I'm such a my cortisol levels go down by the day. It's great.
I know, I know. We'll make it worth your while to come back with good experiences. Yeah, it'll be okay.
I'm hoping that Israel will be that place where you can also relax. Like that's the dream for the future. We can make it happen. We need to make it happen.
Yeah, or I'll come there. I'll just come to Thailand. That's what we'll do. That'll be the new plan.
You will love it. You'll love it. You're welcome to come here. I think you will enjoy it a lot.
That'd be amazing. Yofi, Alec, thank you so much for this conversation. And hopefully I'll see you soon. And take care there. And thank you guys, everyone, for watching and being here. We love you guys. Peace out. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you, Olian. Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.